Good. Whatever. Okay. Good. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'll go ahead and call to order.
Yeah, our daughters.
I believe it's 6 o'clock.
How's that?
TV okay?
Yeah, our other daughter lives here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're in the.
Oh, yeah. Just gonna give the TV a moment to turn on. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and get started with the City and County of Honolulu monthly reports, starting with the Honolulu Fire Department.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm firefighter Eleneki with Makiki Fire Station. And the incident statistics for December 2024, as far as fires, we've had 3 structure fires, 2 nuisance fires, which are rubbish fires, 1 cooking, and 11 activated alarms with no fire found. As far as all other emergencies, we've had 141 medicals, 3 motor vehicle collisions, 10 motor vehicle collisions with pedestrians, and 1 incident with hazardous materials. The fire safety tip for the month has to do with appliance and electrical safety. So in order to just minimize electrical fires in your home, you can stick to these safety tips. But electrical work should only be performed by a qualified electrician. Check your electrical cords. If they are cracked or damaged, please replace them right away. Do not overload wall outlets or power strips, and use certified power strips that meet safety standards and requirements. Also, extension cords should not be used long-term. They're only designed for temporary use only. Please follow manufacturer's instructions for all appliances. And if you guys have any other information or would like any more information, safety tips, and checklists, please visit fire.honolulu.gov. Those are our safety tips for the month. Do you guys have any questions for us?
Okay, we'll go ahead and
Go
get
ahead.
started with Claire.
Thank you, Chair. I think I speak for all of us in offering, first of all, our condolences at your recent loss of your brother. Preventable, and we're sorry. I do want to bring up a question, is that for my close friends this year, I live in an unsprinklered condo.
Okay.
So for my close friends this Christmas, I gave them all fire blankets and a hook to put near the stove in the cabinet. So if they have a cooking fire, they can. Is this a recommended practice at all? Or
Yes.
I'm not asking you to endorse a product, but somewhere between the stove and the exit door, they have it on a hook now that they can grab this blanket and throw it over the fire and then get out and shut the door behind them. So
That's perfect. Anything that's easily accessible to your guys' kitchen, whether it be the fire blanket, which works great, or you guys can go to like Walmart and anything, and they have a fire extinguishers as well. But those definitely work great. And also making sure that your guys' fire alarm systems are up to date.
yeah, and I know you guys have advised in the past to use a pot lid, and I realize a lot of us have a small counter space, so nowhere to keep this extra pot lid. So I decided to go with the fire blanket idea.
That's a perfect idea.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you guys for all you guys' love and support following our firefighter's death. And we just really feel all the love from the community. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Any other questions?
Yep.
Richard.
Sometime this year, don't expect an answer right now, but the fire department formulating a plan for an LA Lahaina type disaster here in Honolulu.
As far as I'm concerned, we do have like IMT resources over here. I'm not sure how involved the plan is. Right. As of right now, we don't have too much information on that, but we can try and get some more information and get back to you guys next month. Yeah. Any other questions?
Oh, Ian.
I'm going to echo the condolences that were spread earlier, but I also have a question about fire mitigation. Specifically, I know many organizations, including my employer, but I'd like to ask this more generally, are formulating their own fire mitigation plans right now. I was wondering if Honolulu Fire Department ever does like on-site consulting for organizations that are planning multi-million-dollar steps towards mitigating fire in their areas. If that's something that you folks ever partake in as, individuals take it upon themselves to develop these plans.
As of right now, we don't have that kind of department where they'll go out and help you guys with that kind of thing. But we do have like fire prevention that will try to go to certain buildings and just stay up to date with fire codes or whatever regulations that the building holds in order to try to keep the safety around there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Richard. Sorry, Harris. I said Richard.
I know that further in our agenda, we have through the Nice Neighborhood Committee is that Punchbowl perimeter project that we're talking about. So part of it is cooperating with the Nuanu Punchbowl Neighborhood Board. So really wrapping around Punchbowl. We originally had started addressing homeless encampment and then illegal dumping, but also tied to that was fire prevention. And so as we move forward, we just wanted to kind of give you a heads up that that's what we want to talk about is around the perimeter of Punchbowl because of the dry brush and so forth, and the involvement in terms of if homeless encampments and so forth, and then setting fires, that we kind of take a more proactive approach. And so our discussions going forward will be to partner with the other neighborhood board that is also included of there. So we just wanted to be sure that that you folks have a heads up on that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And we will be able to contact and get more information with the Fire Prevention Bureau. So we can probably give you guys their number. If you guys have any questions, you guys are more than willing to reach out to them in order to just try to coordinate stuff better with that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, John.
Yeah. I believe the counties are all going to be doing a fire plan this fall. The legislature's doing it with them. So there should be a lot of stuff coming up.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you. Any other questions?
I just wanted to know that, HFD, are you guys able to stick around until the fireworks part, or should we ask all our fireworks questions now?
Yeah, go ahead. Fire
Okay,
away.
if anyone has any fireworks related questions, I imagine that's kind of at the forefront. Do we have any questions on that? Okay, seeing none. I guess not. So that's it for neighborhood board members. Questions? Are there any from the attendees, public? Go ahead, Nancy. If you could go ahead and step up to the mic, please.
So I did witness fireworks last weekend in front of, guess where? Tipsy Pig. That's all I have to say about fireworks right now.
Thank you. Okay, seeing nothing else, no one else, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for your time. Have a safe night.
Thanks. You too, take care. Okay, next up we have Honolulu Police Department. If the police manages to make it on, we'll go ahead and circle back, but otherwise we'll go ahead and move on to Board of Water Supply. Michelle, if you could unmute if you're there. Okay, if there's technical problems, if she manages to speak up, we'll go ahead and circle back. But otherwise, moving on to board business and presentations. We have to fill 3 vacant seats in Subdistrict 1, Tantalus, Mottsmith, Heulu, and 2 vacant seats in Subdistrict 2, Kinau, Lower Makiki, and Kewalo. Interested residents must bring proof of residency to the board meeting or contact neighborhood assistant Curtis Hayashi to verify residency in advance. Is there anyone interested in filling a vacancy? Oh, Ian.
Chair, I just want to note that on our website, there are 5 vacancies listed, 3 for Subdistrict 1 and 2 for Subdistrict 2. I know that the agenda only shows 2 and 1, which means per their rules, we're only able to fill those right now. So I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention in case there was a typo.
Yes, assuming we have a too many volunteers, I would be most appreciative. But seeing as no one is volunteering, I suppose we'll just go ahead and move on. Okay, next up we have election of a board secretary to serve until June 30th, 2025. Do we have any nominations for board secretary?
Chair?
Yes, Ian.
As I mentioned during the last officer elections, I attempted to take a step back as chair and to allow other people. If no one else will do this, I will take it under that only those circumstances, as I don't want us to go without. But please, anyone else who wants to try out the leadership role, I would encourage them.
Okay, well, we're not sure if we can hold multiple offices. Oh, you can. Okay, you can. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and nominate, or I'll go ahead and nominate Claire Santos for
I would like to second.
secretary.
I'll nominate Ian Ross.
No. I'm going to turn down. Claire Santos is a fantastic community leader.
Second.
Okay, I'm just gonna, okay, are there any objections to Claire serving as our secretary? Seeing none, we now have our dual secretary treasurer.
The treasurer with no money.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have approval of the written summary for video record for our Thursday, November 21st, 2024. Does anyone have any corrections? Okay, seeing none, are there any objections to approving the record? Okay, seeing none, we have our November minutes. Okay, next we have the Nice Neighborhood Committee report with Harris Nakamoto, and we also have our neighboring Nuuanu Ward Chair, Patrick Smith, to join in on us. Go
Terrific.
ahead, Harris.
Yeah, it's, so as a follow-up, what we originally started with the Nice Neighborhood Committee, we passed that on to the full board and wanted to have the ongoing discussion regarding the Punchbowl perimeter project. And we wanted to look at developing a partnership with the Nuuanu Punchbowl Neighborhood Board in terms of coming up with a more encompassing plan that focuses on the homeless encampments, illegal dumping, and then fire prevention. And so just wanted to kind of kick it off and see if there's any comments or questions of how we proceed, but we wanted to have that as a standing agenda item. And also to be able to, if necessary, attend the Nuuanu Punchbowl meeting also, and kind of see the type of questions or comments that will come out of that, as well as getting the fire department, but also DHHL, the LNIR, they're all interested in what we're working on. So I think we'll have quite a bit of cooperation from that side. So I just wanted to kind of stop there, and then if any comments.
Patrick, would you like to come up and introduce yourself?
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Patrick Smith, and I'm chair of the New Wanu Neighborhood Board, which also encompasses, down to almost School Street and the Punchbowl. So I guess I get the other half of Punchbowl, or most of it. In any event, I also serve on the neighborhood commission, so whatever it's worth. But yeah, anything our board can do to help your board or to try to attempt to solve the problems of, our at least address the problems of homelessness and any fire related issues. That is actually a big concern for us because we have an area that we would periodically get fire department reports, and the homeless were only cooking. But what can you do? You don't want to discourage people from calling if there's smoke, especially in light of everything that's happened. So yes, we'd be very happy to have you at our meeting. Unfortunately, we are meeting Tuesday. We already have the agenda in. We're kind of locked in, but we'd be more than happy to work with you. So please just let me know. Sorry, I don't mean to go on. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. We we asked you to show up, so
Thank you. Our next Nice Neighborhoods Committee meeting is on Monday, January 27, and then the agenda is also included, and it's at 2 p.m. And there's we're fortunate that the Coronet Condo has allowed us access to their property, but we have it also online via WebEx. This WebEx, I'll be working with Curtis in terms of extending the time limit. Right now, we're kind of on the shorter side, but we'll try and get the business done within the time restraints. Some of the items that will be followed up at the meeting will be Lynn Robinson from Council Member Dos Santos Thames. We're following up with that Makiki laundromat, and that's been very helpful, as well as Nancy's here tonight. We're talking about that 1011 Palm Drive, but also we're talking, we should have some updates in terms of the Tipsy Pig two issues that have been ongoing. So we'll be also discussing that as a follow-up. Other than that, tonight we have a resolution which was brought up at our previous meeting. So we're gonna have that on the agenda for this evening regarding the Beritana Street resolution for no parking. That's all I have. Thank you.
okay. I see Ian. You have your hand up.
Thank you very much. This was brought up at a previous meeting and it was referred by the Good Neighborhoods Committee towards the full board. The resolution that we passed related to streams is being drafted as a bill by Representative Mike Lee, and I understand that Representative Ikaika Olds is also introducing his own bill at the legislature about that. Do you think it's pertinent for the Good Neighborhoods Committee to consider some of these measures, and if the board should weigh in, or do you think that's something that should be taken up by the full board?
Thank you, Ian. I think at this time we should have it in terms of the full board. I think this will be a key issue. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Harris? Oh, yes. If you could go ahead and come up to the, yeah, thank you. Sorry.
So Harris, appreciate everything you guys do. 2 p.m. That's so early in the day on a weekday. Some of us work would, look at, are you ever doing an afternoon or weekend meeting so that people that do work can participate? Even if it's a WebEx, it's still not feasible for someone like for myself to be attending, being part of your group. And I'd like to at least see what's going on.
Yeah, sure. We can accommodate in terms of, so usually what occurs is at a normal board meeting. So say for your area, for example, if you had a issue of concern and then you brought it up, and then we would follow up with you. And then probably even on a Saturday or afternoon, we'll follow up specifically like we did with Claire at Prospect. We did that on a Saturday and with Nancy, we did that probably a few days after. But we can, and then, to accommodate your schedule, we'll be happy to work around that too.
A few other people in the neighborhood are looking at that as well, so I wanted to just, if I can actually try to bring more people.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just let me know. Yeah, reach out to me. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no other questions for Harris, we'll go ahead and move on to the resolution addressing traffic and safety hazards caused by Chick-fil-A Makiki operations. I was sent 2 resolutions. I only put the first one for this agenda, just so because it looked like we had a packed agenda. So I hope you had time to look at it. And I believe as Lindsay Chambers, I think I saw her online, and one was there one more review? We'll go ahead and start with your 3 minutes in favor, and then we'll do alternating, opposing, or for, and then opposition. Okay, Lindsay Chambers.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Char and members of the board. I also have Deb Uemur on, who lives at QVR. That might have been the other person you're thinking of. We appreciate the board's ongoing willingness to engage on this issue. And as we've shared in previous meetings, the traffic safety hazards caused by Chick-fil-A Makiki continues to be a problem. It was covered on Hawaii News Now recently, as well as social media news outlet Hawaii News Report. So it's received extensive coverage. And as you're aware, what the resolution hopes to address are the following ongoing issues. When the drive-through backs up and cars are parked on the right-hand side, customers straddle 2 lanes on Beretania Street. And so that takes up 2 lanes of traffic and makes it unsafe for motorists just trying to pass through. So some of them are swerving to avoid. The second is that this is sometimes exacerbated by the fact that they are not following the traffic management plan submitted to a DPP that was approved with their permit, where 2 lanes should be open throughout the drive-through. Sometimes only 1 is, and so traffic will back up onto an active lane of Beretania Street. For the neighboring condo at Queen Victoria Residence, we have our entrance and exit, which is blocked many times, and visibility is severely decreased when a line does form. If cars are parked, plus you have an added layer of a queue forming, it's hard to turn to turn right out onto the street. And also, lastly, there was an accident that also happened that was caused by the line queuing. Car tried to avoid going into the middle lane and was hit by a car that was driving through. The resolution is asking for, some hopefully reasonable measures of removing street parking from Pensacola Street to 1056 South Beretania Street, which I believe is the address for Chick-fil-A Makiki. That way the line can queue up safely along that roadway without having cars obstructing one of the lanes. We're asking for enhanced roadway and curb markings to show no parking zones. Right now, there's no mobile order pickup line at Chick-fil-A, but they have order pickups. And so people are parking in front of their place on the sidewalk or in front of the fire hydrant. So you just want to make it very clear where you can and can't park, where the sidewalk is, where the driveway entrance and exit is. And lastly is better enforcement from DPP to ensure that Chick-fil-A is following the traffic management plan that was part of their permit. So that's kind of it in a broad high level and the reasons why.
Okay, thank you very much, Lindsay. And so that was in favor of the resolution. Do we have somebody interested in speaking against the resolution? I do see Kevin from Chick-fil-A online.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. So ultimately, we definitely explored this idea in the past with former Chair Ian Ross regarding modifying parking hours based off what Ian Ross had articulated to us. The community use of this parking was very important. And as a result of that, we did not pursue it any further. And so what happened is when we heard that this was going to be a resolution presented in the November It was presented in the November board meeting. It was going to be voted on this month. We ended up reaching out to all of the local businesses nearby, whether it was Jimmy over at Two Top Inn, Rose, Jessica at Fancy Fresh, Tony at Rescue, and all of the general consensus that we got was small local businesses that are relying on that parking and they do not want to change it. So our position is the same from our chats with former chair Ian Ross. We do not want to modify or change any of the parking.
Okay, as Ian has been directly referenced, I see his hand up if you'd like a chance to respond.
Yes, we definitely did speak in the past. I want to, I have a slightly different recollection of that conversation, not dramatically different. I believe I highlighted that people can be very touchy about parking and encouraged the outreach. I don't believe I came out in opposition of removing parking. I think I highlighted how it came up with the board discussion. But I do commend Chick-fil-A for being proactive and reaching out to the neighboring businesses and getting their statements. I do have a question for Kevin real briefly though. Do we have, you mentioned those businesses that you spoke with. So was it unanimous among concern related to the parking removal? I guess that'd be my question.
We spoke with 4 of them. 2 were in, I would say, strong opposition to parking removal. Rose said it doesn't impact her business too much, and then Tony them said that they actually have parking on the other side that pretty much covers all the customers that visit them, but definitely do drop in and definitely Fancy Fresh articulated that the parking was important to their businesses.
Thank you, that's very helpful.
My pleasure.
Okay, I guess no, we've had a for and against. Just a really quick question for my board members. Did you folks have I did receive written testimony from those businesses in question. Did we have a chance to read them? I believe we received that earlier in the day. So, okay. All right. And then, so now we'll go and take a speech in favor of the resolution. Deb?
I just want to point out, as far as the safety issue, that 2-block radius of Beretania Street on the right-hand side is the only one that allows on-street parking at any time during the day. I do want to point out that that is also a bicycle lane. It is a designated bicycle lane, but yet there is no painted bicycle area. Is very strange because that 2-block radius, again, it stops at the elementary school, and then the right lane also becomes a bicycle lane. So there is some very significant safety issues by allowing parking within that 2-block radius. I drive down Beretania Street every day coming home from work. So I know exactly how the parking enforcement goes on the right-hand side of Beretania Street.
Okay, thank you very much, Deb. That was a speech in favor of the resolution. Do we have anybody interested in speaking against the resolution? Okay, Richard.
Yeah, I'm going to probably abstain on this. You know, taking away parking, there's businesses there, but it's a hard call. I mean, you presented your case. There's an accident there. I drove by the other day and I saw that your entrance and exits to your condo were blocked by people, you know, by folks waiting in line to get to Chick-fil-A. So, yeah, I'll probably abstain on this one.
Okay, well, that was a speech for abstention, not quite against. I'll go ahead and, in fairness, do we have someone to speak for the resolution? Ian?
I'm going to give comments on the resolution.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. So one of the things that was mentioned earlier was the potential need for a second right-hand turn lane. Currently, if you're turning in towards Chick-fil-A, there's one dedicated right-hand turn lane. And sometimes it backs up along the block. And we have discussed, and it's been in the media and it's brought up today, about making the second lane over both forward and an optional right-hand turn lane. I think if we want to look at this resolution, that's worth including. You know, I'm I'm having a hard time with this resolution too, for the reasons mentioned. You know, it seems to me that we really want to help our local residents who are tremendously negatively impacted by this traffic issue. And what's going on here is clearly the city allowed a traffic mitigation plan, which Chick-fil-A did everything they were legally responsible to do to the letter. And the city really should have different mechanisms in place when considering two very different business models for fast food, right? For local restaurants. And now we're in a situation where we're considering pushing downstream these negative impacts to help our local residents to some of the local businesses. And I feel like this is, you know, one of those real philosophical dilemmas when we're looking at where to put the negative externalities of a plan that maybe should have been looked at and adapted a little bit better. So I'm having a hard time on this one. I'm undecided. I'd love to hear even more testimony if people have it. But I do want to emphasize, if we're going to be calling for these changes, I do think we ought to include that second right-hand turn lane. I think there's general agreement. I think it has some of the least negative impacts towards everyone and some of the biggest potential benefits. Thank you.
Ian, would you like to make an amendment to the resolution?
Only if you want me to. Only if you want me to. Okay. Give me 1 second. I propose an amendment. So I motion to amend the resolution by adding an additional bullet point under the be it further resolved section that states. 1 second. Can anyone off the top of the head remind me of the street name there? I do not want to get it wrong. It is Pensacola, right?
Pensacola Street.
Okay, I do have it right. Thank you. I just didn't want to get the wrong one on the record there. For Pensacola, modifying the second to the right lane to be a right-hand turn optional lane. Do we think that would be sufficient? I want to make sure we got that right.
Do we have a second?
Oh,
Yep, John seconds.
I'll
Okay,
second
fantastic.
and agree.
Okay. I also didn't hear anyone else speaking up against it, so it sounds like we might be in a good position.
Okay. Okay. I'll go ahead and recognize Chuck and then Lindsay.
Okay, I tend to agree with what Ian said about that second turn lane. I think that was discussed when Chick-fil-A or before Chick-fil-A even opened, I think. So I'm not sure what the status was on that. Maybe after I speak or before we end this, Kevin could shed more light on that. But my main concern is I'm obviously concerned about the safety of all, drivers and cars, collisions and all that. But at the same time, I think we have to balance that with the fact that these small businesses are going to be negatively impacted, and I cannot go totally to banning the parking as far as I can see right now. But getting back to the second lane turn, Kevin, if you could just shed some light on that.
Okay. Seeing as Kevin has been addressed, I'll give him an opportunity to speak.
Yeah, I mean, to former Chair Ross's point, it was one of the items that we had also discussed when we had met with him. And so it was something that we just brought to his attention. We said, hey, is this something that would benefit Makiki? And we pretty much didn't go any further after that, but definitely it was an idea that we had presented, and we just wanted to touch base with the Makiki Neighborhood Board to get their feedback, given that you guys are like boots on the ground in Makiki.
Okay. And then Lindsay.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to make it clear that I am in no way wanting to negatively impact small mom and pop businesses. And in fact, it's a disappointment that a national chain like this comes in and does that, and yet is asking for testimony about the negative impacts that they are causing. So that seems like a disconnect to me. I'm not asking to remove all parking on the right-hand side of Beretania Street. There's actually parking after the Chick-fil-A exit towards the church. So there's a pretty long stretch of Beretania. I'm only asking for the window that Chick-fil-A's line queues up in and causes cars to straddle multiple lanes as they wait to go in. So there's still parking further down that they can walk towards Dewdrop Inn and the other establishments there. The resolution also includes better street markings, TMP enforcement. So I'd hate to lose those facets of it if we're not in agreement on parking. So if there's amendment to remove the parking piece, I'd still like to make sure that we hold Chick-fil-A accountable to the management plan that they promised to the city. Thank you.
Okay, I guess we are still on the discussion for the amendment to include the making a second right-hand turn lane from Pensacola. Okay, do we have any other comments? Go ahead, Sam. On the amendment.
Maybe a little sideways to the amendment, but given the complexity of what we're talking about on the road markings, is it possible to pull this up on Google Maps so we can visually see what's being talked about? That might kind of clear things up a little bit in terms of understanding exactly where this right-hand turn lane's coming in.
Yep, give us a moment to do
Share.
that. Thank
If
you.
you allow me to share, I have it pulled.
Oh. Okay, if you do, go ahead and share your screen, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.
You're welcome. Here we are. Would you like me to change the mode? Oh, no, I've got to refresh it.
Oh,
It
yeah,
switched from
and
here
then
to here.
recommend. Yeah,
Let me pull
and
that
then
up one more time.
our assistant is recommending that you drag the yellow person onto the
Absolutely.
intersection there, so it's easier to see.
Let's start
Okay.
on this side, and then we'll move it over as you request. Did I drop it in the right spot? I believe I did. So here's one end. You can see some parking along here. And then as I close out, oh, there it is. We can see over here. I believe that's the end spot.
Yep.
Close this
Okay.
out.
Yeah.
And I'll
Thank
drop
you very much,
to the-
Ian.
You're welcome.
Okay. Do we have any further comments regarding the amendment? One from the back. If you could go ahead and there's a microphone. We got a microphone right up here.
So
If you could give
this
us your name one more time, thank
Okay,
you.
this might tie into the amendment, but did Chick-fil-A ever looked at hiring like a police officer, security or whatever to be on the road to actually make sure that they're not blocking those intersections when it is crowded? I mean, it's not all day that it's packed, but during those times that it is packed, have somebody walk out there and actually make sure that these intersections are actually open and not being blocked by cars.
Okay, Kevin.
Yeah, so one of the things that we do is during the grand opening phase, we did hire what's called special off-duty officers. That was part of the TMP. Also part of the TMP, it said that the hiring of special off-duty officers was something that would be utilized during the grand opening phase. We did talk to one of the main officers with the special off-duty program, and we asked them, we said, hey, if we were to submit special off-duty officer requests, limiting it to only 1 to 2 hours at a time, would anyone pick those up? Because it's all volunteer based, and pretty much what he articulated to us is no one wants to pick those up. They're looking for full shifts. They're looking for premium pay. So that's why we didn't explore that any further. Is the guy who runs that department, he articulated to us that for short durations like that, it's unlikely that these special off-duty officers would pick up these contracts.
Oh, if you could go ahead and. Although,
yes. So does it have to be a police officer? Can it be somebody that they hire to do that as their timeline, whether it's in the evening or whatever? But having it Chick-fil-A actually hire somebody to do that, not getting a police officer, but security.
Okay, Kevin.
I'll be honest, we have not explored that. Our communication with HPD is that people essentially other than HPD are not authorized to direct traffic.
Okay, and seeing no further comments on the amendment to add a second right turn lane from Pensacola onto Beretania. Are there any objections to the amendment? Seeing none, we'll go back to the resolution as amended. Do we have, okay, I ended on against. Do we have someone speaking in favor of the resolution? Seeing none, do we have anybody speaking against the resolution? Yep, okay, go ahead and call the question.
All right, aye, no, or abstain on the resolution addressing traffic and safety hazards caused by Chick-fil-A Makiki operations. Char,
Excuse me, nay.
nay. Granger, aye. Kawano, abstain. Laka Laka Mano Puna, absent. Lee, Chuck Lee.
Nay.
Nay. Mitchell,
Abstain.
abstain. Nakamoto, nay. Peck,
Can I confirm the question one more time?
the question is the resolution addressing traffic and safety hazards caused by Chick-fil-A Makiki operations, as amended.
Aye.
Aye. Ross,
Aye.
aye. Salasa, nay. Santos,
Abstain.
abstain. Steelquist,
Aye.
aye. On a vote of 4 ayes, 4 noes, and 3 abstaining, the resolution is not adopted.
Chair, procedural question.
Yes.
Apologies. Did we vote to pass my
And
amendment?
you cut out.
Pardon me. Chair, did we vote to pass the amendment before we voted on the resolution?
Yes, I asked if there were any objections and there were none.
Thank you so much.
Okay, but I guess as there's significant support for adding that second right-hand turn lane, I suppose that's something we can take up in the future.
Chair, would it be in order to attempt to pass a resolution specifically on that measure, at least at this time?
Okay, so the neighborhood assistant is asking that we can, or is saying that he can afford the request.
Okay, so I would like to motion to make the position of the board official that we are in support of the second optional right-hand turn lane from Pensacola.
Do we have a second?
We don't need to do a resolution.
Okay, I see.
I have a question.
Yes.
If we fail to pass the motion, how can we pass an amendment to the motion?
I'm not motioning to make an amendment. I'm motioning to, oh, sorry, pardon me. I'm not the chair. I'm not going to explain the rules.
But yeah, so the resolution failed, but he's making another motion.
Resolution?
No, he is not motioning to do a resolution. He's just making a motion. And I believe I saw Chuck seconding. Discussion.
It would be a real pity, Chair. Oh, pardon me, Chair.
Go ahead, Ian.
It'd be a real pity after all of these discussions where I think we have a clear agreement of all parties involved to walk away at the start of a new year with no action done. I think this is a clear option. I don't think it's adequate, but I think it is necessary for the board to do something. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Okay, we'll go with Claire and then Richard after.
And I'll give you the reason for my abstention. We have involved the city in some of these discussions, and I am hesitant to start adopting things that are actually beyond our realm. These are, liaising with the city. I think we need additional information from the city on whether this is feasible to do these changes. I think we need to bring them back in again.
Well, at that we have our new city council member, Scott Nishimoto here. I guess, would you like a chance to weigh in on this? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we had Claire, Richard.
You know, I'm very sympathetic to the plight of the residents of the condo. So in addition to that second right turn lane, that we again asked Chick-fil-A to more strenuously monitor their agreement. There's still people, again, I drove by the other day, both entrances were blocked. Yeah, so if they could just, in Chick-fil-A, what else can they do? I mean, we've got signs up there. But I don't want to just let this go. I am sympathetic. I live in a condo, and it'd be, I'd be quite upset if every time I tried to get in or get out, I couldn't because there was cars there.
Okay, well, as Chick-fil-A was referenced, Kevin, would you like a chance to respond to Richard?
Yeah, Richard, we're always exploring ideas. We're working on stuff right now. Until it comes to fruition, there's no reason for us to, I guess, present it publicly. But yeah, we are actively working on this problem.
Okay, and then Lindsay?
I also don't want to lose sight of the fact that part of the resolution was holding Chick-fil-A accountable to follow their traffic management plan, which they oftentimes don't, which causes the traffic to back up. It should be 2 lanes in, 2 lanes out at all times to the drive-through, and it's not always open. And so what is our course of action to have DPP or the city holding them accountable for that piece, and also to have the city have better roadway markings? I think we got lost and caught up in the parking piece, and we're now dismissing all of the solutions, which is too bad.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay. Do we have any further comments on the motion? Seeing none, are there any objections to adopting the motion? Okay. Seeing none, we have our motion asking for that second right-hand turn lane. Okay, and just before we move on, do we have any final remarks before we move on to the next agenda item? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to discussion and motion to address the enforcement and proliferation of illegal fireworks. Yeah, we had the unfortunate incident over in Salt Lake. Did anyone have anything they'd like to say on this matter? Harris?
You know, this year, in our area, it probably is not as bad as some other areas, but what I noticed this year was the sound of the fireworks. It really didn't sound like fireworks, it was like bombs. And so it's you know, through the many years that I've been, residents here in Hawaii, this year was the first time that I noticed is definitely a different sound and not a sound that I like. And so I'm really concerned. And then that's what I was just thinking throughout the evening, but then these other things happened, right? So we're not going in the right direction. And so I am very much concerned now about what's going on. So I just wanted to share that.
Okay, and then are there any other? Claire?
I approach this from 2 ends. The first half of my career as a nurse, I was a burn care nurse, and I did help start that burn unit at Straub. So as far as that New Year's Eve tragedy, I know what everyone went through and is going through, and I'm absolutely horrified. And as Harris, the sounds of fireworks this New Year's Eve was like bombs. My building was shaking, and I've never been woken up. I usually burrow myself in with my dog, and it woke me up this time. It was horrific, and I looked out the window, and Makiki and Kaimuki were going off, and I don't know how to reduce the demand. I know that these fireworks distributors who illegally bring the stuff in here, they do, I heard there is coercion involved. This is, gang stuff, mafia stuff, I don't know, cartels, whatever you want to call it. But how do we change the demand? Because I know what I know of burn victims and multiple trauma victims. I know that you don't know what I know, and how to communicate how horrific that was and how we need to stop the demand. We need to affect the demand for the fireworks and then also approach these the containers coming in and such that are loaded with these illegal things and people storing them in their carports and in their homes. We have a lot of public education to do, but I honestly don't know how to stop the demand. I'm open to all discussion.
John?
The legislature is meeting on this and they're going to do something. What we want them to do is something to enforce bringing in the big stuff. I mean, it's supposed to be a few little firecrackers, maybe 100, and enjoying the culture or tradition, all right, that's fine. But when they're so big and so many of them, we know where they're coming from. We know where they're coming to. We got to get some police or somebody out there to stop them. And that should be for the legislature to do right now.
Thank you, John. Do we have anyone else to speak on the fireworks issue? Richard?
And what we need is to stop it at the ports. And I know it's not easy. I've heard all the arguments of, we got thousands of these containers coming in every day. How do you x-ray them? But I think there needs to be fierce enforcement with penalties that'll make these folks stop bringing this stuff in. I mean, jail time, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I think step one is fierce enforcement of the laws and enhanced penalties. And then just a public, how we got the public to stop smoking, cut back on smoking. We got to get a public campaign to get people to stop shooting these things off. Once you get fierce enforcement, then the people that are still doing it need to be held accountable. Again, with enhanced penalties and fines.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Do we have anybody else to weigh in? Ian?
This is, we saw incredible tragedies. We saw, even with increased enforcement, still inadequate, of course, but even with increased enforcement, one of the largest displays we've ever seen in the state, probably by far the largest. I think we need to also consider, we heard about education, we heard all those, so I want to echo what Richard said. I want to highlight this board has taken upon this issue and passed resolutions in the past. I think, he might be, large enough to talk about it, but Sam Mitchell has been just a consistent, strong voice on this, both in our board and with Nextdoor. And, I think Sam might be feeling like a Cassandra right now. And so I want to say, we've had the voices, we've known it's been an issue, we passed resolutions, and I hope we find our role in the community on how we want to double down and be a voice for the community for change as well. It's not just on the legislature, it's also on us to be active participants. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ian. And I think seeing no other, go ahead, Nancy.
Hello again. Okay, so last weekend I witnessed with my own eyeballs 2 gentlemen lighting off fireworks Diamond Head of Akala Lane, right in front of the bar. They were, the bar's not responsible for that, but they were standing right in front of the bar. And I told them that if they didn't cease, that I would call the police. I would like to add to what the gentleman said about thwarting the delivery. something that we're well aware of is that a lot of these are being made, homemade explosives. We hear the bombs going off all year long. I hear them very close to us here, you know, from all angles. Those big loud booms, we've all heard them, right? And we've been notified that a lot of these explosions that we're hearing are homemade. So we need to do more than, I'm thinking cameras. If it's happening near parks or public, I know how the public doesn't appreciate cameras. They don't like being, you know, that big brother watching them everywhere they go at the parks and everywhere. But for me, it's a consideration, something that I would be willing to put up with if it means the safety of our residents, you know, everybody's safety. Just a thought.
Thank you, Nancy. Okay, do we have any more comments? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much. We'll move on to the discussion and motion to address the planned sewer fee hikes. This is brought to me by Harris. Go ahead.
Yep, you know, recently we saw in the newspapers about the rate hikes regarding the sewer fees, and we had a presentation by, I guess, the city's environmental services mentioning about the necessity of the sewer rate hikes. And so I'm definitely really concerned about the rate hikes, especially affecting a lot of the working families and you know, those that, you know, are gainfully employed and trying to make a living, and you know, husband and wife working, kids going to school, you got to wash the clothes, and then, you know, you trying to do your best, and then you get smacked with a lot of these increases. But you know, I can understand the need in terms of infrastructure, but maybe you know, I know that there's been discussion, and I guess that's where from our city council is to kind of share their thoughts of, you know, where this thing is going. But you know, maybe that's something that we can, as a city, we can do better in terms of researching other types of treatment systems or other things that can be done, you know, to effectively plan for the future, as well as, you know, many of these, it may go into tandem, many of the development of a lot of these high rises in the Kakako area, and many of them that are empty, are we actually planning for their sewage capacity too? And that's a big hit for, you know, for the locals here. So anyway, I really want to continue to bring this at the full board level to make sure we can take a better look at and not just have the increases passed along. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Oh, again, the gentleman in the back. I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
So several years ago, with this sewer plant, the one over in Sand Island, I had a friend that actually ran the plant, and we were talking about fees and, you know, the cost going into, you know, the sewer plants. And he mentioned that if the city and county would use 50 to 60, 75% of the charges that we are paying into the sewer, we would have the #1 sewer plant on the island. And he was mentioning, and maybe just needs to be audited or somebody going in there to see where this money's going, because he mentioned that there's a lot of surplus funds coming out of the sewer fees going to pay other things in the city and county. I mean, that would be something that, I don't know if they've done that, you know, realistically, to do a full audit into where every dime goes to for the sewer plant itself, is it really going to pay for the sewer upgrades and, you know, the maintenance and everything else, or is it actually used somewhere else? Because he did mention that there is a huge fee that we pay into for the sewer going somewhere else. And that's something that he made concerns. He's no longer working there, but I'm not saying that that was the reason why, but he wasn't happy with the situation.
Are these facts?
These are
Are-
facts from what he told me that actually was,
Conversation, you know, why don't we get the facts? As
well,
my friend said,
this is what I was told that when he was working there, and my take was just, can somebody go and do the auditing? Can somebody go and do that and find the facts? And this is just something that we all talk about, you know, these fees and things that we pay into certain services. There are also fees that's tied into that service, but where are those fees going to? And that's all I'm asking, you know, like, is the fees going, you know, 100% to the sewer, or is it going elsewhere?
ask the city council to fix it, check it.
Okay, thank you, John. Okay, are there any other further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll go on to the discussion motion for the chair to write a letter in support of funding to Tuca for air conditioning and a remote entry system. You'd like to come up?
Hi, my name is Joyce Yang, and I'm the current executive director of the Cultural Community Center by Tuca. And so we are requesting a letter of support that we may utilize when seeking donations from private donors or other organizations. The first part is air conditioning. As you all may have noticed, if you've been here without air conditioning, it's a lot better. Right now, we have just temporary air conditioning. We would like to have a split level units installed on the second and third floors. And the reason is not just comfort. Most of our class and program participants are seniors, well over 65 years old, into their 80s and some in the 90s. And particularly in the summertime, the heat, it can be very enervating. It can be quite hard while they're learning hula and other things in here. On the third floor, as you know, your heat rises and we have an art exhibition, but they're not able to utilize it when it's that hot. So partly it's a health and safety comfort issue. So we would like to make it as comfortable as possible for our participants, most of whom again are seniors. And the second request for the letter in support of a secured remote entry system. So as you may have noticed, we are not allowed to have a doorstop downstairs anymore, which means that every time someone wants to come inside, they have to ring a doorbell. We went through 3 or 4 different doorbells before we have the one that works. And then sometimes it's just one person available and they have to go downstairs. The elevator is very slow, or go down the stairs, open the door, and then ring again. We have to come back down again. And as you can imagine, that it can be very disruptive to daily operations. We could be on the phone, we could be doing all manner of things. And so at the same time, we need to keep the door closed for security reasons. So we did get a quote from Access Hardware for a remote entry video entry system that would allow us to remotely, even through an app on our phone, open the door, and it would also provide additional security. There have been instances of people coming into the building when it was left open and causing some harm and having some security risks. So if we have a letter of support, that would go a long way towards enhancing security for everyone who comes here, including yourselves, and making things better for the community. So we would appreciate a letter of support. Are there any questions?
Ian.
Thank you very much. First, I want to commend you for making yourself available at the Hawaii State Capitol yesterday. In addition to asking us for letters of support for things like state funding, it's clear that you're not resting on only that. I will note that as chair, in my own capacity, I did offer a letter of support in support of previous GIs and CIPs. So I believe this is a role for the neighborhood board. A clarifying question, though. It sounds like we're being asked to do a general letter of support. I'm just not sure how that works logistically. It sort of feels like the letters are addressed to specific groups. So I might recommend that we just pass a support, one second. Yeah, so the motion is for the chair to write a letter of support for it. So I would just say that I believe any motion should be a standing authorization to the chair to write letters to any group and not just, a one-time thing. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. That'd be very helpful.
Richard?
How much is what's the quote to do the remote entry system?
18,000. I have the quote right here. It's $18,109.94 as of December.
And so during the day, sounds like often there's only one person here to watch the whole facility.
Sometimes, because we have, there's only 3 paid staff members that we were able to fund through the grant that we received, the state GIA. And, like sometimes we have meetings and things outside. We try to cover the center. It could be at the very least one. Sometimes our 3 of us are available, but we might be running a class or an event or things like that.
And is the city using the basement level? I see a sign, no public supposed to go downstairs. Is there people down there?
The basement, from what I've been told, is the office space for the custodians on the park currently. And the first floor is, we don't have access to the first floor currently. We have the second and third floor.
Okay, John, I believe you had a question?
So we're not using the bottom floor, right? First floor.
I believe the city uses it in the summertime for the 6 weeks of summer fun classes, and
so-
they have a few individuals using it as office space in the daytime, but I'm not quite sure about the whole capacity because we're not privy to that.
Yeah. Well, I think a chair can write a letter saying, can you take care of the air conditioning? That should be enough. I can make that a motion. Let's ask the chair write a letter to say, make air conditioning better here.
I believe that's what we're talking about. Oh, is there a second? Harris. Ian, is your hand still up?
Apologies, Chair, now.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion to write a letter in support of Tuca for funding? Seeing none, are there any objections? Awesome. I'll work with them.
Thank you so
Find
much,
something.
everybody.
Okay. Moving on to City and County of Honolulu elected official reports. First up is Mayor Rick Blangiardi's representative. And then, okay. Curtis informs me the report is on the Google Drive, and then if you have any questions or concerns, I believe you said to write it down and just let Curtis know. Okay, and our new city council member, Scott Nishimoto.
Thank you. Good evening, board and community members. I am Scott Nishimoto, your new councilman for District 6. For those of you that don't know me, I was in the state legislature for 22 years, representing mostly Kapahulu, Macaulay, Ala Moana area. I actually started in Diamond Head area and my district shifted all the way to Ala Moana over the years. I do have with me my staff members. I wanted you to meet all of them so that when you call my office, you can put a face to a name. This is Kylie Tokujo. I believe you spoke with her today. Okay. This is Kylie Tokujo. She's worked for me at the legislature during session, and I brought her into my council office. This is Heath Williams. He worked for me when I was CIP chair in the State House, capital improvements chair. I did that for the last 2 years. He was my CIP person. I brought him in primarily to do budget because I'm the vice chair of the council committee on budget. So he'll be working primarily on budget. And then Taylor Date, she's been with me for about 5 years. She was my office manager at the Capitol, and she'll be doing community liaison work for me, mostly in addition to a lot of other things. in my council office. Let's see, was there stuff specific you wanted me to address? I can't.
We can, I guess, do you have any general priorities you'd like to work on?
Yeah, so
Just to get started?
Okay. For the bulk of my 22 years in the legislature, I worked on the finance committee. So budget has kind of been my thing. I requested to be on budget this time as the vice chair. It's what will be my priority. I feel like the budget is one of the most important documents that we make. It's a reflection of our priorities. So that will always be my priority as your councilman is the budget.
Okay, and then I believe we had that came up in this meeting a number of specific concerns. Who would like to go first? Harris.
Hey, Scott, about the sewer rate hikes.
Yeah, so
I wanted to kind of, now just coming in and having that discussion, maybe some of your thoughts of what the steps are in terms of for the city council.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big number. It's alarming to me like it is to you. We met with the Department of Environmental Services. They explained it. They have not had, we have not had a rate hike since 2016. They largely did not do rate hikes because of COVID. So they didn't, so it's been a while. I expressed my concern that, it is spread out over a number of years, but it does seem like a big number. And I'm sure we're going to debate this and have hearings in the council this year. But it's a big number. I have concerns, but we did not do a rate hike since 2016. So, and then to address that gentleman's point, we'll try to dig into where the money's gone, and hopefully we can get you some reports.
The other thing that's tied into the Nice Neighborhoods Committee.
Yes.
And that's and Nancy's here tonight. And one of the things that is connected is tied with the Liquor Commission and this establishment on King Street, Tipsy Pig 2.
Okay.
And what they are promoting in terms of street racing and all of that.
Okay.
And that connects also to the highway racing.
Yep.
Going from Ward until Punahou, that
Yeah.
straightaway.
Yep.
And so it's kind of died down. I think HPD has done some work, but I think that establishment is not promoting a nice neighborhood type of respect.
Well, so I'm meeting with all the department heads, and I think we have one set up with the Liquor Commission. We do, right? I'll bring it up.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, in my previous job on the state side, racing was an issue. It's why I supported trying to find an area for a track. So that people can have one area, it's safe, it's legal. Hopefully they won't have to create their own tracks on our city and state streets.
Right.
So,
and I know some of the residents that were here are talking about Tantalus too. So,
right. Yeah.
but
So
it's all
I also did the nonprofit grant program for the last 6 years in the state where we gave grants, and we gave grants to some nonprofits to try to look at building a racetrack. Because I think that if we do that, then there's really no excuse for people to say like, well, we got to do it somewhere. Every other island, I think, has a track. We don't.
Yeah.
So,
and the last item I had, because I'm working with Chuck, is over from Thanksgiving, I've been studying this homeless, and it's been a great education for me to kind of go through the process in terms of like right in front of my house in Kinao Street.
Yeah.
So, I had 2 homeless women living in their vans. My first attempt was to check out the safety check and then call HPD and move them out. But what I learned after a while were that these individuals who were living in their van, they actually during the day they were working. And I was trying to see how we can get them placed into housing. But since Thanksgiving until now, they're still in front of my house. And most recently, one of the ladies ended up at Straub Medical Center. And so, and I guess it's because when they're sleeping in the van, maybe what she told me was her intestines are all tied up. So they had to do surgery and then untangle, right? So I don't know, so the way I kind of have educated myself is that I've learned that, there are different levels in
Oh,
terms
there's
of,
all different.
right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And
But this level that
it's easier to help.
it's easier to help, but it's so fragile. And when it breaks, then the broken piece is hard to fix after that. And but the time frame that it's taking,
Yeah.
then that's what I'm watching right now because I'm talking to the appropriate people and they have eyes on it. And so, after a while, you try to care about the situation.
Right.
But then, every morning I wake up, I see it, and I said, when, right? But I don't have control of that. And-
Well, I mean, you can call our office and we can get the appropriate people to be sent and see if they'd like help. I mean, that's the first step, right? If they actually want help.
Yeah, they want help.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so that's the easiest kind of, well, not the easiest, but that's easier than some of the other homeless cases, right? So, but yeah, just call our office and we can work with the city agencies that can try and get them help.
Chuck.
Yeah, Councilman Shimoto. The other thing that I was talking to Harris about was that the fact that, the city and the state, I know are working together and they're trying to shore up this wraparound services and everything. But there seems to be some kind of drop somewhere where things like this happen. So I think if you could check on that, where that might be, so we can improve on getting it
Sorry,
tighter.
go ahead.
Yeah, no,
So
that's it.
did the two individuals, they wanted help and nobody ever came, or?
So they wanted help.
Okay.
Because, after Thanksgiving, I seen them like 2 weeks, right? Then I figured they're not making trouble. They don't make noise at night, right? So then I walked over to them and then I talked to them and I said, how can I help you? And they said, well, we're waiting to get into transitional housing. So I said, okay. So then that was a Saturday. So I called.
And they didn't want to go to a shelter.
They didn't want to go
They wanna
shelter.
go shelter,
They,
okay.
they would go to transition. They would go to a Kauhale or whatever.
Okay.
And so I contacted the state. So I contacted John Mizuno's office. I contacted Brandon.
Okay.
And then I talked to Eric.
Brandon Mitsuda.
Yeah, Brandon Mitsuda. And then I forget, Eric Ford. So Eric Ford then called me and said, Harris, I'm on this.
Well,
So I'm waiting,
Yeah,
right?
well-
But at the same time, there must be some issues
Okay.
of why or what. And maybe it's that,
Well, just call our office and then we can help. I mean, I know John, I worked with him for years, so I can help coordinate that. But yeah, just call our office.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Councilman, yeah, basic street maintenance, I called your office earlier about.
Okay.
You can hardly see the lane dividing painting. This is on McCully between King and Beretania.
On McCully between King and Barrington. Okay.
Yeah, so you're heading Mackay
Yes.
and
Into Waikiki.
into Waikiki.
Yep.
But right in that area, the lines are all very hard to see. In fact, the other night as I was driving out there, a car was just right between, you couldn't see the lines. So they didn't realize it was 2 lanes. They were in both lanes. So yes, if you can give us a report of how quickly and when that can be repainted, that area.
So we'll put in the riser we'll put in the riser, and then we'll let you know. But we have to put in the request, but yeah, I mean, if it's a safety issue, hopefully they'll take care of it quickly.
Chuck?
Yeah, Councilman, the other, in line with what Richard was saying about striping, if you look around the city, there's a lot of places that the sidewalks are, you can hardly see them. But one of the things that I've been complaining about was on Pensacola. You know, I for the last year, I think I've been complaining about the red striping on the streets, especially in front of the bus stops and on that street. But there's illegal parking all over the place, and what is the police can't really do anything because the thing is so faded. All the citizens going to say is, "Oh, I didn't know it was, you know, prohibited parking because there's no red striping or whatever." But if you could look into specifically Pensacola, because I was told that 2 or 3 meetings ago that I think OTS was going to stripe the area. So I'm not sure where that stands.
Pensacola, where exactly?
All of Pensacola from Wilder all the way down to Lunalilo, that stretch especially.
So we'll look into it. We'll put in the riser, and then we'll let you know. Yeah.
Okay, and Nancy, if you could come up. Yep.
Hi, welcome. Yeah. So regarding the lines on King Street, often the cars will almost block Palm Drive. I've got pictures of them blocking Palm Drive and blocking Akala Lane because they'll park all the way up to the street where we can't see when we're coming out. Yeah. And you know, like he was saying, the lines, you can't see the parking lines. They'll park in front of the fire hydrant because they don't see the meters. And then they park all the way up to the street. You know, they're not in any marked stall or anything, but they just park all the way along, especially on the weekends when it's busy. I'll speed this up. So there needs to be markings, and HPD needs to check because they'll, like I said, they park all the way up to the road and we can't see when we're coming out the road. And then regarding what Harris was saying on the homeless, real fast, I'm sorry. I've been doing a lot of personal research on the homeless lately, and I was frustrated a lot in the beginning because it's just, you know, they're everywhere in the stink and the dirt and the, you know, garbage. And then recently I put 2 of them to work. One gentleman asked me for work. He's been coming by for 3.5 years, just saying hi. And then one day he came by and he said, "Do you have any work for me?" And I said, "You know what? I got a whole pile of leaves over there." And I put him to work for, you know, an hour and a half. And then a gentleman today came by and did some work in my backyard. And this is a man that sleeps in front of the fish store, and he's always sweeping, always cleaning. But they don't know where to go. So what my request is, and I don't know how to tell them where to go. So if we could have a resource list to give them, or even for us to know, to say, oh, maybe I can call, I've heard of CORE, but I don't really know enough. A list of saying, okay, these are the people that we can call, or we can tell them where to go, or we can at least call the resource and say, listen, this person wants help.
Yeah, I would assume there is something out there. We'll find.
Yeah, some kind of resource list that we could have here maybe to share.
You guys got that?
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I guess I'll just bring up some or revisit some of the stuff that we were talking about earlier, and saving it for your report. I guess any comments on fireworks?
Yeah, so we had a briefing today in the council. They talked about, you know, there's a lot of different pieces like your discussion led to. So there's the importation piece, which has a lot to do with the state and federal. But our discussion today was prosecuting of the people. The laws aren't adequate. Largely, it's an HRS issue, so it would be the legislature. For some of the minor kind of things, I think we can do some on the council, but largely what the police and the prosecutors are asking for is what the state has to do to change the laws. And I think I'm almost sure they're going to do it this year. But what the prosecutor's office described was pretty hard to prosecute anyone under the current statute. So,
Okay. Any other further questions? Well, thank you so much for giving us
Thank
so
you.
much of your
looking,
time.
looking
This
forward
first.
to working with you folks. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, and then we'll go ahead on to Councilmember Tyler Dos Santos Tamzots.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Robin Hensky. I want to say Happy New Year to everyone. So I dropped our newsletter into the chat box for everyone to view. Recent highlights legislative-wise is Bill 56 related to pedestrian malls. A few of these measures kind of are more curated to Chinatown and the downtown area, but nonetheless, Bill 56 is about pedestrian malls and increasing foot traffic in the downtown area, which ultimately reduces crime and increases public safety. So Bill 1 also is sidewalk dining. That also has to do with the Chinatown area to boost, the local economy. A lot of eateries and restaurants have outdoor dining. It was a pilot program. We have a bill to make it permanent. And lastly, Bill 52, which is e-bikes. We heard it today. And we're working with the chair's office to create more of a comprehensive, common sense, easy to understand legislation behind electric bikes. Oh, and lastly, regarding the Tipsy Pig, the illegal racing, I can work with Lynn Robinson on potentially putting in a riser for HPD to kind of look into that and how to kind of mitigate those actions. But if you guys need anything, I'm here, and call our office if you need anything.
Okay, and then I believe I received also just a question about I believe the Pequoy Street Mini Park has been officially sold. I noticed they took down the sign saying it's a park. Okay, and then are there any questions for Robin? Ian.
Question on the topic you brought up, Nathan. My understanding was there was some discussion about with the park being sold and the intention of the owner to keep the tree up. There might be some sort of requirement for the sale for the tree not to be cut down. Would you be able to look into that, Robin, on if that was ultimately included? That's all. Thank you very much.
Sorry, cut off my video. Yes, I can look into that. Thank you, Ian.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, thank you very much, Robin. And then we'll go on. Did Michelle Harmon ever get your? Oh, okay. She put her report into the Google Drive. Okay. And I don't think we ever had our HPD show up. So, okay. We'll go on to Governor Josh Green's representative, Russell Pang.
Aloha. Thank you, Chair. Aloha, everybody. Happy New Year. Okay, so it's that busy time of the year again. The legislative session is well underway, and I'll let our legislators cover that section. On Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, Governor Josh Green will give his third State of the State address. It will be, that's 10 a.m. Tuesday. It will be live streamed on his Facebook page, as well as on Olelo. You can also go down to the Capitol to attend in person. Make sure you bring your ID if you go down for security. They will be checking. So some of the priorities the governor will be discussing include helping to ease affordability for our residents, affordable housing, addressing the homeless issue, the ongoing recovery for Maui wildfire victims, and as well fireworks. I'm sorry, I missed the discussion earlier on fireworks, but the governor he's held several news conferences on fireworks since New Year's Eve. And as Councilmember Nishimoto pointed out, existing laws make it very, very difficult to enforce fireworks. So the governor will be introducing a package of bills to address that, to make it easier to go after lower offenses, as well as to make it easier to lower the burden of having to prove that the individual actually was using the set off the fireworks. So the package of bills will be introduced after his State of the State address on Tuesday, and from there we'll know more of the details. No. Earlier this month, the governor did attend the groundbreaking for a new affordable housing unit in the district, Pensacola and Wilder. And this is another project by Lamb Capital. It will add 90 affordable units to the mix. So governor was very happy to join community leaders, including the two council members and other community leaders in that. I will put the governor's two newsletters from December and January into the chat room, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
Okay, any questions from board members? Chuck?
Yeah, Russell, I just was wondering about that project you just talked about on Wilder and Pensacola. Was there any notice given to us that that was coming? Any notice to the neighborhood board?
I am not sure.
Could we, as a board, request that we get this kind of information well ahead of time before they actually start construction, if possible?
I can request that. This is a private developer. I mean, I know Lamb Capital there have been some discussions on some other projects in this neighborhood board. Go ahead.
Well, the only reason why I ask is because it impacts our community, and we've already had, we've had one Pensa Metro right down the street that still has yet to open after 2 years already of construction. We're going to have another situation possibly at 1421, which was the abandoned house. There's talk about that being affordable housing. Now, I'm not sure if that's a state project or a city, but you can see that in that small area that we're talking about, there's 3 big projects already possibly coming up, while the third one possibly coming up, but 2 already. And the thing that really concerns a lot of our citizens in this area is parking, because you have these affordable housing, and yeah, you got a lot of units, but there's no parking, or they have what, 4 or 5 parking. And the reason is these people are working people and they're going to take public transportation. But how true is that? Because I don't think that it's totally true, my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll convey your message.
Harris.
Hey, Russell, Harris Nakamoto. Just wanted to ask, did you hear when I was talking with Scott, the discussion we had about the homeless, the 2 women that I've been requesting, so through John Mizuno's office with Brandon Mitsuda and then Eric Ford.
I did hear that. So what was the resolution after you spoke with Eric?
So it was probably about going on 3 weeks now, and he contacted me to let me know that he's working on getting the 2 women into transitional housing, meaning like a kahale.
Right.
And I haven't heard, and I've texted him a couple times to find out, but I'm But where I'm getting at to this time is almost not even caring at all. And that's really, I don't want to do that because it's really, you know, and I don't know what are the levers to help these two women because they park right in front of my home on Kinau Street. And I'm waiting for the day that I don't see them, but the day that I didn't see them, it was when one of the women ended up at the hospital. And so, yeah, I'm really concerned about these people who during the day they're working, and so they're gainfully employed. So they're not like just, you know, they're trying to make ends meet. But I think that I think if I can get some type of follow-up from Brandon or from John regarding this case, because they know him very well.
Right.
And I also informed them when I went to visit the lady in the hospital, because that's how I got, actually, she has my phone number. So she calls me to tell me that she's in a hospital. So then I visited her, and then, but with each episode, I'm learning more and more. So I'm telling Brandon, I'm learning this whole homeless thing, but in a not a very good way. Yeah. And I think there's a gap. And what's happening is that because there's this gap, we're having people fall through the cracks, and that's unfortunate.
Right. Well, Harris, thank you for bringing that back. I will contact the governor's office tomorrow and ask Eric or Brandon or John to at least give you a follow-up to see where things stand.
Thank you very much, Russell.
Thank you.
Claire.
Hi, thanks, Russell. Claire Santos. I want to support and reiterate what Chuck had to say. With developers coming in, throwing up high rises all over our community, we deserve a seat at the table. The neighborhood board should be involved. I realize Paul Lamb is using his private cohorts. However, they're using Bill 7, and that is our government legislation. So we definitely deserve that respect. And we have invited him in particular twice to our neighborhood board meetings, and he didn't respond. Other developers have come here and presented their plans to the neighborhood board. So we should have that same level of respect from anyone putting up these towers because they are having a very high impact on our neighborhoods, and we should have a seat at that table. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire.
Okay, give me a moment. Let me check if there's any other board members that has any questions. Okay, seeing none, go ahead.
Thank you. So I wanted to bring up something that Chuck talked about with the Bill 7 as well as these high rises. Are you folks looking at lessons learned from these buildings going up? Because Mr. Lamb's property, we have definitely voiced our concerns with 1427 Ernest Street. It's a bad situation, and it doesn't look like anybody's making any headway of these lessons learned with the parking. You know, they talk about putting people in there that are supposed to be a workforce, but yet he's building these buildings, yet the people that are in the workforce are the affordable, I don't know what the percentage is of like the 60, 80% of how much we make, that they're not getting these people in because the units are too small. They're charging a ton of money for a 230 square foot unit for 1,500, no parking. And now, just recently, the tenants that they're putting in there, they're actually inviting other people in to break into the units. There's some footage, video footage that was sent to the police officers to make this looked at. Some people did get arrested, but for other reasons, but they have footage of the tenants bringing in these people to actually break into a unit or also breaking into steal a motorcycle. So one of the girls that actually pays full amount, she's actually so scared she was actually having the police actually escort her to get out of the unit or whatever. But this is 1427 Ernest Street. And it just seems like Mr. Lamb has not made any attempt to, and I'm facts, you want facts? I have a lot of facts, but there's a lot of issues with that building. And I want to express that we need to look at that and have these lessons learned to fix it before they start building these other units. And the biggest thing was not letting us know that these buildings are going up. It's a major concern because the neighborhoods, I mean, people are going to start moving out, getting out of there, and it's just going to turn out to be another messy environment for the neighborhood. But yeah, I would love to see these folks start looking at lessons learned and start really tracking down to, you know, the developers. The biggest thing, and I'll close with this. If they're having these Bill 7 projects going up, they should have a resident manager live at the building to take care of it, not have a property manager, because all she does, call the police, call the police, call the police. She's never there. There's always police coming and going. There's no resident manager. I asked Mr. Lamb personally to look into trying to get a resident manager there. It's too costly. I'm going to bring a security. That didn't happen. They put up gates. Now the tenants are actually getting people to come in and steal and do other things. So that is something that I would really like to have at the top, look at as a lesson learned, get a resident manager at these buildings so that they can actually support any issues immediately. Not let's call the police, try to call Lamb, he changed his number, he's not answering, he changed his number, and then now he's not even responding, and then now you got Kimmy, the resident manager, call the police. She doesn't want to deal with, you know, these issues, but it is an issue. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. Okay, seeing no further questions or concerns, thank you very much, Russell.
Thank you, Chair.
Next up, we have Senator Carol Fukunaga.
Aloha, everyone. Thank you, Chair Char and other neighborhood board members who visited us at the Capitol yesterday. It was very inspiring to see so many community members coming out to see what was happening with opening day. I did want to highlight the condo insurance bills that we are introducing in the Senate this year. I think after many of the complaints that Makiki residents and condo associations have brought to our attention, I'm glad that we finally have a package of bills that are focusing on consumer protection and giving condo unit owners and their associations a means of raising concerns, having the insurance commissioner look into them, and then also giving them opportunities to have the insurance commissioner rein in costs that are not justified when they actually take a closer look at some of the premium increases. We have a package of 5 bills that I'm hoping we'll be able to get a lot of Makiki resident support on. The first proposal calls for establishing a mutual insurance model for condo property casualty coverage, and it would create a loan fund to assist condo associations who are experiencing insurance costs that are really driving them out of their properties. This is something that had been discussed during the summer. I know the senators are also introducing a bill to stabilize the hurricane, kind of general coverage, disaster coverage, but we're looking at condo insurance as a special category, partly because many of the cost increases have been so severe that many residents who have complained to us have said that they just cannot afford a third year of premium increases that are over 100%. The second proposal will require property insurance to offer discounts in instances where the condo associations are also taking steps to reduce their vulnerability. So whether it's fire, whether it's hurricane or other kinds of hazards, you know, we want to make sure that people are being given recognition for the steps that the condo associations are taking to improve safety in their properties. Proposals 3, 4, and 5 set up a notice and appeal process for condo associations, where currently they have not really had any opportunity to voice complaints about premium increases that seem excessively large. And this would really require the insurance commissioner to review some of the rate increases or the premium increases for individual buildings, where up till now there has really been no appeal process. And we sort of view this as a situation that is very similar to what we have in auto insurance, where if you take steps to become a safer driver or your vehicle is maintained properly, you're given credit for that in the form of either discounts or good driver, you know, incentives, etc. And we want to provide similar forms of assistance for condo owners and their associations. So with that, that's kind of a brief summary, but I'm happy to take any questions. And after many, many months of working on these issues, I'm glad we finally have a group of bills that we can solicit your support on and hopefully bring about some much needed regulatory changes.
Okay, Claire.
Thank you, Senator Fukunaga. Speaking for myself, yes, 2 years of giant HOA fee increases have put me to the limit. But worse than that, now I'm fixed income and I can change that, but I have neighbors in their 30s who are stretched to their limit now. These are young people who they've got, you know, another 30 years of mortgage payments to go. These HOA increases are breaking people's backs now, and it's not just Kupuna, it's the young folks too. So thank you for being proactive and trying to head this off.
Well, I think it's really going to take all of us to recognize, you know, the extreme hardships that many condo owners and condo associations have experienced. And it's the individual stories that really are going to make a big difference, because I think for the most part, many people did not realize how severe the impacts were. But as you start talking about cost of living concerns, you know, the price of housing, the price of groceries, the cost of insurance, it's time for us to really kind of step up and say we have to bring in a new range of protections for residents because they're stretched to the limit.
Absolutely. Thank you, Senator.
Any other questions? Richard.
Yeah, Senator, yeah, I'd like also to thank you. As a condo owner, we've seen our HOA fees doubled in the last 5 years, insurance, maintenance issues. So I do thank you for your efforts and yeah, you know, being on the board, and I'm the person that has to vote for these increases. But we're between a rock and a hard place. We have to fix things. The insurance, we can't help with that. And it affects me just like all the other residents in our condo. And it's getting untenable. So thank you for what you're doing.
Okay. One other thing I wanted to bring up is the notice to the community regarding the Wilder and Pensacola project. You know, I received complaints from some neighboring residents a couple of weeks ago, and we did send a letter to the managing director and DPP director raising concerns about that project. And I guess, you know, this neighborhood board must be very impactful, because as soon as we sent that letter, this was December 23rd or 24th, right after that, the demolition of the structures that were on those parcels occurred. And I noticed that before this next neighborhood board meeting, the groundbreaking was held. And one of the things I had asked for in my letter was that neighborhood board 10 should receive, you know, notice ahead of time when these projects are proposed, and should have an opportunity to raise questions and to invite community comment at the neighborhood board meeting. But, you know, I was quite surprised to see how rapidly this project moved forward in the aftermath of our December letter.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for your comments on that. I just, in lieu of, oh, we got Patrick.
Aloha, Senator. It's nice to see you again. I'm Patrick Smith. I chair the New Uanu Neighborhood Board. I would like to turn your attention to, there are certain prohibitions based on the letter from the Office of Informational Practices regarding the input of neighborhood board members and the reports given by government officials. And as you may be aware, it's actually very limiting. And my understanding of it, some of the presentations tonight have probably gone beyond that. I would ask, and I hope that you support reforming the Sunshine Law to allow the interaction that naturally should occur between what are basically community members that serve on the board, and they are not deemed public officials for the purposes of Honolulu government. So I hope you support legislation that will reform the the guidance that OIP has set. Thank you.
Okay, well, I do support, public access and community involvement. I haven't seen any bills emerge yet. However, I know that a number of neighborhood boards have modified their agendas to sort of include some sort of broad categories, of community issues. And in my view, that type of disclosure on neighborhood board agendas should be sufficient. So if there's, any legislation that we need to support to endorse, what neighborhood boards have been doing in recent months, I would certainly strongly support those.
Okay, and if you don't mind indulging me in one question, since you helped put together the meeting on little fire ants, how is funding for, how does it look for, funding invasive species?
Okay, there's several bills that are pending, and I have been in touch with the Ant Lab and HISC group. And so a number of the bills are calling for a more comprehensive Department of Agriculture biosecurity approach. There's also individual bills that we have also signed on to, which one of which would retain HISC funding within DLNR. And so I think within the various approaches, we'll have to use the legislative session to vet which approach makes the most sense for community mobilization. I think for Eric Salasa's involvement in the Makiki Tantalus area, those are some of the kinds of initiatives we think that, we're going to have to pursue in getting our communities safeguarded. And so whatever we can do to improve the distribution of kits and assistance, public education, that's all going to have to happen at the community level. So whether it's Department of Ag, Department of Land and Natural Resources, UH, or a combination of all the above, there are quite a few measures pending.
Thank you very much. And I believe that's it for questions, so thank you so much.
Okay, aloha.
Take care. And we'll go on to Rep. Della Bellotti. Seeing none, we'll move on to Rep. Kim Coco Iwamoto. Okay, moving on to Rep. Ikaiko Olds. Okay. All right, Rep. Andrew Garrett. Okay, round two for Rep. Andrew Garrett. Okay.
Sorry about that.
There we go.
Can you hear me, Chair?
Yes.
My apologies. I'm unable to turn my camera on. I'm at an event right now. Just stepped outside real quick, but just wanted to thank you and Member Chuck Lee for stopping by the office yesterday on opening day. Chuck, sorry I missed you, but I appreciate you stopping by, and thank you, Nathan, for the time to stop by and wish us well. One of the things I just wanted to note now is really excited about my assignment this year as the chair of the Higher Education Committee. I think it fits well with the needs of the district and District 22. And right now, we are working on our newsletter to send out to the district. That'll be in the mail by the end of the month, which will include some bill highlights. Right now, we're still in the process of filing a lot of those bills, so we don't have bill numbers to share, but we'll make sure we have that in a written report for your February meeting. So I know it's been a long evening, so I'll just stop there and see if there's any questions tonight. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Are there any questions? Okay. Seeing none, thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you. See you next month.
Okay, and moving on to community concerns from residents, limited to 2 minutes each. Residents, not board members, can share comments and concerns that are not listed on the agenda per the Sunshine Law. Concerns not on the agenda may be presented, but the board cannot take action. Are there any, if you could go ahead and give us your name.
Hi, my name is Richard Ching. I live at 1099 Green Street. I'm a neighbor of Rich's. Both of our houses have cameras that face the road because our building has cameras for security reasons. He has cameras on his property for security reasons, and we're always picking up stuff going on at 1427. There's drug activity. We see groups of people coming over there. We've called the cops a bunch of times, and they said they can't do nothing about it. We've got pictures of people handing out drugs. I mean, big bags of meth to these other people that I guess they go around the neighborhood and distribute it to all the homeless people because that's what they need. Anyway, yeah, I would like something done with this.
Yep. Harris.
Yeah, if you'd like to refer to the Nice Neighborhood Committee, then we can follow up with you and Richard.
Yeah, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Follow up.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Put it on the agenda.
Nice. Yeah, thanks.
Chuck.
What is the reason why the police can't do anything, even if you got video footage?
They said they have to be there to see it happen before they can make an arrest. The police, yeah. They can't take our word for it or whatever pictures we have. So that's what's going on.
Oh, hopefully we can get the police to speak on that next time, as they didn't show up today. Okay. Are there any other community concerns?
May I respond to that briefly, Chair?
Yes, Ian.
I believe when we had the prosecutors come, that there was some discussion that the prosecutors might be able to take action because of recording. If anyone else remembers that the same way, maybe we can encourage the resident to forward that to the prosecutor's office directly, because not only police that can potentially take action.
That's right. I guess we're not really supposed to be discussing this, but I'll entertain Harris. Go for it.
I think there's I have a history of dealing with similar to what these gentlemen have been going through. So if I meet with them, I think there's a process that we can work through. So we'll work together on that.
Oh, yes, go for it.
So this has been going on for years, not so much. Does it matter? Yeah, this has been going on for years. And even in the previous, before 1427, when there was a robbery, well, like the break into a car and stuff. And this was, Lanai and Augie kind of time frame. But, Lanai's brother's car got broken into. Just so happened I had woken up 1 o'clock in the morning, took video, calling the police, 911, had the video of the guys breaking into the car, had the video of the car, had the video of the license plate, everything. When the police came, the other guys left. The police said that they could not do anything with the video, even if I'm showing them everything, the license plates and everything. Nothing got done. So some things had to be taken care of on their own, which did, unfortunately. But the police, with my video, with pictures, with showing the people license plates, nothing got done. So it's a hit and miss. Can it be used? I don't know. But we're doing our part as neighbors to document, to get all these things together, get in touch with the police. But we do need the developer, Paul Lamb, and others that are building these buildings to be part of our solution and be part of this neighborhood meeting. They should be here. They should be part of our program to make sure that they're listening to us and being able to take that back and see what they can do to correct it for other developments. And like somebody was saying how fast this is going up. I think Senator Fukunaga was saying, hey, this thing's going up. Because if they slow down, we were here when they had the 30 people that came for the prospect, the lawyer, all these other people. It slowed it down because there's issues with these developments. And nobody at the top is slowing them down to make sure that we are being represented as neighbors in the neighborhood. So that's something definitely not right all across the board. And it's not the police's fault. I get it. They're trying to do what they can, but it's, people at the top not listening to us, making sure that these developers that are doing what they need to do be here to be part of our help and helping them help us get this kind of squared away with fixing the neighborhoods instead of making them worse. Thank you.
Okay, so clearly this is something we need to have, or I believe, yeah, the recent developments in our neighborhood will probably be on the agenda come February, and hopefully we can get somebody to talk about that. Okay, sorry, Ian.
Thank you very much, Chair. I would just like to bring up the topic again of the stream issue, homelessness encampments there. This is Google Maps imagery of Liho, where multiple encampments are often over in the stream. Obviously, they have a dumping issue as well. We heard at the last meeting in November that a no trespassing sign posted there would help police with enforcement. I get texts and concerns from neighbors all the time. So I just want to raise this in case I can't see you on the camera. If Council Member Nishimoto is still there or the mayor's representative, I think this is a low-hanging fruit in terms of just providing an extra tool for clearing out the encampments, and it is in line with the resolution we passed in November. One other note, I heard from a member of the Macaulay Moili Neighborhood Board that our resolution will be modeled by their board at their next meeting in early February. Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay, yeah, unfortunately, Scott Nishimoto and his office left already, so.
I'll do an email follow-up. I got that. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, and Charlie Calvert.
Charlie Calavay with Tradewind Cycling Team. So I'm here to just give some basic facts about a bicycle race that we've been holding for the last 50 years. Going up Tantalus is going to be occurring March 30th this year, 7 a.m. And, it's always been a good event for the local cyclists here, and hopefully we're not making too much trouble in the neighborhood, but we try and handle it with traffic control, with HPD present. We also have GP Roadways doing the traffic control. But basically the race starts 7 a.m. and heads up from just right before the entrance to the Nature Center, goes up Makiki Heights Drive, and then up Tantalus up to the top. And that's the route. So like I said, it's been a real good event every year. And we're just here to kind of just give you guys a heads up. It's coming up March 30th, and we expect about 70 to 80 riders. We'll try and keep the noise down as much as possible. We always tell the participants to keep it down in the morning while they're warming up. And we're permitted through the USA Cycling and City and County of Honolulu. And it's the longest running bike race in Hawaii for the last 50 years. So that's all I had. Any questions?
Got one from Sam.
Do you have any resources where we can go get more information about the race? Anything
Well,
on?
if you want to sign up for the race, you can go to, you don't want
Cycle myself, but
come on.
yeah, I wanted to, I don't know if I go up that hill. I wanted to share the information with the other Tantalus residents. We have a community group chat, and I want to make sure they're aware of it come that March
Okay.
30th date. So like a
I
flyer
did
or
forward
a
the,
website or anything.
Yeah, I did forward the info sheet, basically all the information I just gave you to Nathan yesterday, I believe it was. So if you didn't get that, I can resend it to the board, and they can, other boards have posted it on their Facebook page. I'm not sure if you guys have that, or you can go to the Tradewind Cycling Team website. That's more for the racers again. It's going to give you more of the how to sign up and that kind of thing. But the basic facts I just presented, I did sent the info sheet to Nathan. So maybe
Great.
he has it.
I'll get the info sheet. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
I must have missed it. I'll have the Curtis send that out. Okay.
Yeah, if you didn't get it, you've got my email, so I can always resend it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Okay, and I believe that's it for community concerns. So moving on to, oh, sorry, Nancy.
Hello, Nancy Swanee again. So I'm just going to reiterate the parking on King Street, not in metered stalls, blocking side streets, especially on the weekends when activity is busy. Graffiti has been hitting. There was one day, I forget what day it was, December 6th, I think, where we got hit, a bunch of us got hit by graffiti. So of course, our private property we have to take care of, but it's also being hit a lot in the public areas that's not being addressed. And then of course we've got the speeding and the racing, which HPD has testified that, not testified, but they've said that it's slowed down or they don't see it. But November 21st, there was a big party and they were doing wheelies going the wrong way down King Street. January, actually New Year's was quiet, surprisingly quiet from there. But then January 4th came Saturday and it was another party, speeding. And I started making a list of the dates and times until the list just got so long, it was ridiculous. And I said, I'm just not even gonna write it down because it's, every other day. So the speeding is happening. It happened again last weekend. Not as much, but it is happening. They just had another event, so that was happening. And then because there was a bicyclist and a pedestrian hit in this past week. Just right after Akala, or right after 1314. Actually, the pedestrian was hit in front of Palm Drive. The bicyclist was hit by Sheridan on King. Driver turned, not seeing them. And this is happening a lot. And the signage needs to be fixed. Drivers can't see the signage. People are always going the wrong way down one-way streets, like my street. There needs to be the speed humps. There needs to be some kind of deterrent. So I'm going to push again for speed humps or bumps, or I don't care what it is, but something's got to slow them down. And we really need to push for that. And I'm going to let you go there. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Nancy. Okay, And now it's it for community concerns from residents. And moving on to board community reports. Makiki Lower Punchbowl Neighborhood Security Watch. Chuck, got nothing. Oahu Metropolitan Planning Organization. John.
Two-year plan coming in the spring.
Okay. Thank you very much, John. And on to board announcements. The next regular meeting, the Makiki Lower Punchbowl Tantalus Neighborhood Board 10 is scheduled to meet on Thursday, February 20th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at Makiki District Park and online via WebEx. Meetings can be viewed on Olelo Focus 49 on the first Friday at 9 p.m. and third Sunday at 3 p.m. Follow us at www.facebook.com/MakikiNB and then visit www.8.honolulu.gov/NCO/NB10 for Makiki Neighborhood Board info. Okay, and for all of us folks interested in running for the neighborhood board again, candidate registration is now open for the 2025 neighborhood board elections. The deadline for candidate filing and voter registration is the Friday, February 21st. Yes, we all need to sign up if we want to go again. Okay, and motion for adjourn.
Adjourn.
All right, thank you very much, everyone, and Happy New Year.